Hey everybody, welcome back to the vlog. Thank you so much for joining me for tea time. Today is kind of an interesting topic. I had someone ask, what is the best camera as of today for doing vlogging? They want to do something similar to what I'm doing here, and they wanted to know what kind of camera to use. And they were looking at some of the newer ones. Now, of course, I'm using an 80D here. It's old. I would love to see a 90D soon, but that's what I'm using currently on the Canon side. They were looking at either the EOS M or the brand new Sony A6400. So I wanted to look at the two cameras and give them my personal opinion on them and which one would be better for the video, for the vlogging, so to speak, and why I think that to be the case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the specs, not all of them, just to show the difference between the two cameras or maybe the similarities of the two. Starting out with the sensor, they're both APS-C sensors. Now, the effective pixels here on them, the megapixels is 24 megapixels on both the Sony A6400 and the Canon EOS M50, or the KISS, I guess, for overseas people. Now, autofocus points do change. On the Sony, you have 425 autofocus points in comparison to the Canon with only 143. Saying only is really kind of, once you get over 100 points, it's good enough. It's working pretty well. As far as headphone jacks, neither of them have a headphone jack. Most of the time, you monitor the people that you have in front of your camera, so you know if they're hot or if they're not when it comes to your volumes. You want your volumes to be at the right amount. You can't fix them after the fact if you're blowing them out the top. So anyways, headphone jacks, neither of them have it. Now on mic jacks, they do. Both of them have a mic jack, so you can have an external mic to put into these, either which one. Next is the display unit on the back. They're both 3 inches in size, but the Canon has a slight advantage with over 1 million dots, I believe, in comparison to like 920 dots on the Sony side. Now, 4K capture. This is where some of the people are looking at this as which way to go. 4K capture on the Sony is 4K at 30p or 30 frames per second, whereas you have 4K on the Canon at only 24p. So there is a little bit of a limitation there. If you don't mind 24p, then Canon is okay here. But if you need 30p, well, then you have to go Sony. Now, as far as 1080p, on the Sony side, they do give you that extra slow motion capability of 120 FPS in comparison to only 60 or 60p on the Canon. So 60p for me is good enough because that's what I'm shooting this video on, for example, but it would be nice to have 120p to be able to get that slow-mo for B-roll, for example. Also, image stabilization. Now, on the Sony A6400, they decided to leave out IBIS, probably not to cannibalize their 6500. Whereas on the Canon side, of course, they don't have IBIS at all, but the majority of their STM M mount glass is IS, so which is image stabilized. So most of them will have image stabilization. Anyways, as far as on the Sony side, you would have to get their OSS lenses, which of course is their optical steady shot. One way or another, you're going to have image stabilization in the lens because you're not going to get them in either one of the bodies. Now, for me, looking at some of the things that changed with the Sony A6400, which I thought was very interesting and kind of nice, is number one, they have a better eye tracking that's going on, an improved eye tracking. So is it as good as Canon's DPAF? Probably not. Canon's DPAF is still the industry leader when it comes to tracking, but what they did do, Sony, they are coming out with a firmware update that's going to provide eye tracking for not only human eye, but also animal eyes. So if you are like that nature guy or you're shooting wildlife, being able to lock up on a bird's eye or some type of animal's eye is really good. So one of the things that a lot of vloggers are looking for, not only image stabilization, which obviously you're going to need in lens with both of these cameras, but this screen, that back panel. How does it flip? And I have to say that for some reason, Sony did not watch Canon. and all of the iterations that they had to make with their EOS M. Why do I say this? Well, the EOS M3 originally flipped up. Then they made the EOS M5 that flipped down, and they're like, wait a second, people don't want it flipped down. Let's go ahead and flip it back up on the M6. And then finally, they listened to everyone and said, you know what? On the EOS Kiss or the EOS M50, we're going to flip it out to the side. Just like this 80D or 70D or a lot of the other Canon cameras that a lot of people use for video. It flips to the side and forward, so you can see if you're framed up properly or whatnot. So a lot of people are looking for that flippy screen. Why Sony ended up with their A6400 screen flipping up, I really don't know. So why is that important, right? That's the question for some people that don't know. If you have your back panel that flips up, if you're going to use an external mic, which you should, all right, and attach it to the top of the camera through the hot shoe, well, the mic is going to be right in front of your screen and you're not going to be able to see the screen at all. Doesn't make sense. Now with Canon's side, they ended up doing something stupid like we said on the M5 where it flipped the screen down. Now what? Now your camera is up here and you have a pole sticking down here holding your camera up. And now you can't even see your screen either. That's why you have to have that flipping out to the side. So what do I think is the right way to go for vlogging? Let's say that run and gun vlogger, or even a vlogger that sets up their camera like I do on a tripod. Well, if you're capturing 4K, that's what you're looking to do. All right. And you need 1080p, but at 120 frames per second to do ultra slow-mo. And you don't care as much about that articulating back panel being in your way. I think that the Sony Alpha A6400 is a great decision because Canon has that crazy crop factor in 4K, number one. And number two, DPAF, their dual pixel AF for tracking is shut off in 4K, which is ridiculous. That's why I think that the Sony Alpha A6400 would probably be right for you. Now, if on the other hand, you're looking to capture 1080p and 60 frames per second or 60p is enough for you, and that articulating back panel is really something that you need, the difference in price to $1,000 on the Sony Alpha A6400 to about, let's call it $650, almost $400 difference. I think that that money is better spent by picking up a Canon EOS M50 and maybe an extra piece of glass. So, what do you guys think? The Sony Alpha A6400 versus the Canon EOS M50. Which would be better for capturing a vlog? Doing a vlog like I'm doing on a tripod, or a run and gun vlog through the streets? What is your suggestion, or what do you think? What is your thoughts? So as always, put those thoughts in the comment area below. Let's talk about it. And as always, if you enjoy my content, please throw me a big thumbs up. That would be stellar. And smash that subscribe button so you can get all my videos when they become available. And click the bell icon here somewhere so that when they are available, you will be notified of it immediately. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools I've invented for you and me over the years. And hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Happy shooting. And don't forget, comment. We'll see you in the next vlog. Take care.